What up, everybody? Welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be sort of reviewing the Remarkable 2 and the iPad Mini 6, but it's not a straight up review because what I'm talking about in this video is a problem that I've artificially created for myself, but you probably can relate to. Have you ever wanted to take notes with something that isn't your laptop and isn't your phone, but is also not a paper notebook? Well, that's where I find myself in. I want to do something called digital note taking, which is basically has a few advantages. You can take it wherever, it's searchable, it's portable, it's a permanent database of things that you wrote. You only have to have one notebook and it lasts forever. It's an unlimited canvas. Basically, you can just keep scrolling and you have more canvas, and you can put images and videos. But also on top of that, I've also thought, wouldn't it be nice just to have something like a tablet to carry around and take with me? I want to read more books, and so I thought this might be one of these types of devices might be a good way for me to do that. I want a device basically that's not my laptop and not my phone. So let's briefly talk about both of these devices and we'll kind of see which one I think I'm going to pick. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'll tell you which one I'm going to be sticking with primarily. Okay, so I've got these two devices here and I'm briefly just going to talk about both of them. So the iPad Mini 6, what have I got here? I got a 256 gig iPad Mini with the Apple Pencil 2, and that just snaps on there, low battery. And then I've also got the Remarkable 2 right here. As you can see, the thinness profile, the Remarkable's way thinner and it's a little bigger. Now, why the iPad Mini 6 over a regular iPad? Well, I wanted something that's portable. I want something that's simple and easy to use and not something that's really going to add more burden to my backpack when I'm traveling. So the iPad, people kind of know what's going on here. What I will say is I tried a bunch of note apps and kind of landed still just on using the Apple Notes app as the primary. It's in dark mode right now, but you know, you can just pretty self-explanatory use the Apple Pencil, draw on it. And then over here on the Remarkable, you know, you don't have to find any different apps or anything like that, right? And it's got this premium feel to it. You just write on it just like that. So the Remarkable, this is the device that people will ask you a lot of questions about. I guarantee it. If you buy one of these things, you will get nonstop questions. What is that? That looks so cool. I love the sleekness of it. It is true. It is very sleek, very slim, very awesome. And what I will say is the paper-like feel of it is second to none. I love the feel of this thing. If the future is us getting rid of paper and replacing it with just having one Remarkable, that would be the pinnacle. I would be all for that. I've had the Remarkable for 3 months now. I've had the iPad for probably 4 or 5 months, and I've tried to use both of them as my daily driver. So again, I'm going to go back to the initial point that I made. It is a device that I want to use for note taking, but I also am probably going to want to use this somehow in my YouTube video creating. Basically, I want it to be something that's useful for me, not just leave on a shelf. So let's talk about some pros with this iPad here. One of the pros for me is this device itself is very light, very slim. It's just easy. It's connected to the Apple ecosystem. That just makes this really handy when I want to look at my notes that I'm writing in Apple Notes, or if I have Notion, if I have stuff in here, notes that I'm taking in Obsidian, things like that. This is super nice. Also, reading on the Kindle is a pretty nice experience. It's about the perfect size holding it in my hand. One of the things I was worried about using this was I wouldn't like reading it from a digital screen, but it's actually not that bad. It's and it's about the right size. It's just a little bit bigger than a normal Kindle. The writing experience on the Remarkable is the biggest thing to me that's really nice about this. This pen writing on here, and it feels a lot like paper. It has the feel, for example, if I'm making like, I can push down deep into it like a pencil and make a thick line, but then I can hold it sideways and kind of shade it and give it more of that different look. That's just a really nice feel. And I really feel like this white, clean paper-like aspect of this is really where these type of products are going to go in the future. It's also super simple and clean. The interface does not have a lot. It's just a blank slate. There's not all these bells and whistles. There's no notifications. There's none of that stuff. Whereas the iPad, you kind of have to guard against all the notifications you might get on your phone or your laptop. Okay, so let's talk about some downsides with the iPad. Well, for me, the biggest downside with this iPad is it doesn't feel like a piece of paper. If I'm writing on here, it's software that tells my software pencil to interact with it, right? And you can kind of see there, like for some reason, it's in writing mode, not in pencil mode. Okay, so there, now I got to go back to that. And it writes fine, but then if I wanted to add text, I'd have to go all the way down here. It's not perfectly seamless. It's pretty seamless, but it's not perfect. The Apple Pencil just kind of loses its usefulness if you're not doing it for actual drawing, in my opinion. And it does not feel like paper. I have a paper-like screen protector on here, and it still doesn't really give it that feel of being paper. It still feels like a screen. It makes it better, not straight on glass, but it's not there. It's not perfect. Whereas with the Remarkable, it really feels like I'm writing on something unique, paper-like experience. The other thing with an iPad for me is I often am asking myself, do I really need to use this device if I'm going somewhere? Am I going to just take my iPad with me, or should I just be taking my laptop instead because my laptop is more capable? You can't run the full versions of certain apps on here. It just does not have the same feel as a laptop does, not the same capability. All right, so now we're going to talk about the downsides of the Remarkable. And this is the big bummer. I hate to poo-poo this thing, but my list for downsides on the Remarkable is way longer. First off, the cost. The cost is pretty bad. So if you go to their website here and we try to go to buy now, you can get just the tablet. So this tablet that I have here, but then to get a marker, so I have the marker that actually allows me to write on it and then flip it around and erase. That marker is going to run you $129. And I did not pay full price for this, so I'm a little biased about this product. But then if you want to get the case, and I do have this case, it's the brown one, $169 more. That's crazy. And then, so that's going to run you $597 just off that alone. If you wanted to turn it into the keyboard combo, $627. I'm not sure in my mind if the cost outweighs like the usefulness of the device you're getting, because you could almost get a MacBook Air with that price range. The other big thing that really is just terrible on this thing is the cloud integration. So there is options for Dropbox, OneDrive, and Google Drive, but you don't have integration for iCloud, which that kind of sucks, although I'm not sure a lot of things out there have that ability. It's because it's an Apple product. And you can't, if I go into Dropbox here and I try and edit any of these are not editable. Okay, that's weird. Why is that? Well, you actually have to copy this. You have to hold it down, import it, which imports it to your device, and you have to wait for it. It's going to go to My Files. You don't even get to choose where it imports to. It just shows up here, okay? And then now I can edit it, right? Now I can do whatever, okay? Sweet. But if I wanted to put it back, I'd have to then export Dropbox, open, and it doesn't even make, it makes a duplicate. It doesn't even overwrite the current one. And that's terrible. There is an option to use Remarkable's own drive. They have their own cloud system, but then you're also paying an additional $3 a month. It's still not super robust. You get this desktop app that you can use that is, pretty bare bones. You can't like edit the drawing. You can't draw on the drawings. I can now just recently type on this, so I can add like text, whatever, and that will show up. But I have to wait now. I have to get out of this file here. So I have to make sure to close it. I have to go into my file here and wait for it to sync. Tap it. It's there, but you can't have both of them open. Like if I try and draw, if I open this here, back in this, we're in the same documents. If I try and draw in this, leave it be, it will not update in this app. That's it's not super snappy. I have to get out of the file and then it will sync over. And it's just not there. It's not great. Also, one other thing that's really bad about this is if this device is in airplane mode, apparently, if it's not online, you can select text and convert it. Unable to convert text, please check your Wi-Fi connection. So you have to be online to convert your handwriting to text. And it's just not super robust. I would much rather use the iPad's ability to do this because it's just up to date. It's constantly getting reiterated. Any really Apple or Google would have way more data behind them to get accurate hand drawings converted to text. Remember, what is important here for me? A big thing I found myself wanting to do with this is just write. I would use Obsidian and just write my ideas quickly without forgetting them because, trying to catch that lightning in a bottle. The other option for me to get, a little more use out of this was I tried keyboards for both of these. Now, Apple doesn't make an Apple Folio keyboard for this, and there are some third-party ones that are out there, but the problem I saw with them is because it's a mini, it's going to be much smaller. And so I looked into, I got a foldable keyboard, but I bought this foldable keyboard for my iPad, unfolds like that. And then I've got a full-size keyboard. Pretty nice. The typing experience on this is pretty nice. It feels like a Magic Keyboard. A little bit less less robust. I'd still much more prefer the Magic Keyboard, but that's something I got for the iPad. And then something I got for the Remarkable is I actually bought the Type Folio keyboard just to try this out. One of the things that immediately struck me with this keyboard, and it is really nice to type on, I will say that. Like, it feels, the clicking is nice. I don't like the small backspace, and the small key choices are kind of silly to me. I'd much rather see the non-important keys made smaller. That's my personal opinion. One of the things that struck me immediately with this though is this case. It's the full thing, it folds it into a book, but this thing is heavy. This doesn't feel super light to me, and I'd much rather, if we were just basing this on weight, take the iPad and the portable keyboard, because I could use this on my phone too. I wouldn't even have to necessarily use the iPad, but if I wanted more screen, I could do that. All right, so I'm going to tell you what I picked. And out of these two devices, this was really hard for me to do, but I think I'm going to stick with the iPad mini 6, and I'll tell you a few reasons why. For me, having the Apple ecosystem part of this is just super important. The fact that the cloud support for Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive doesn't even let you edit on the Remarkable is kind of crazy to me. The clear winner is the iPad because it's compatible with all the cloud sharing platforms, and it just functions better. The big reasons I can't justify the Remarkable 2 right now is the cost. It's just so expensive to get, especially if you get into all the accessories. Usefulness, it only serves 1 to 3 purposes. I would really only recommend it as a note-taking paper substitute. You could put PDFs and ebooks on here. It works pretty okay for that, but you can't download like the Kindle Store or any of that stuff anymore. They've kind of cut that off for third-party apps even doing that. But reading on this thing, pretty nice if that's what you're doing it for, but I don't think that's what most people are going to be getting these devices for. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but outside of that, it's so hard. I really want to like this device because I really do like the writing experience on it, but the iPad for me is just far more useful. One last thing that the iPad for me, the biggest thing that makes this more useful for me than the Remarkable is I can use Obsidian, I can use Notion, I can use Apple Notes, and those are all 3 things that I put most of my documents into. The other thing that makes it really, really helpful for me is being able to use my microphone or camera to scan in documents or record what I'm trying to say, which is just far faster than typing or definitely writing with a pencil. And so for me, the iPad is going to be the clear winner for this video. Now, there's so many more things I could have gone over, reasons why I picked the iPad, things that I like about the Remarkable, things I like about the iPad. If you really want me to talk about my experience with either of these devices, you know, maybe why I picked a wireless keyboard that's foldable instead of like an attachable case one for my iPad, let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Hope this video was helpful for you, telling you guys how I went about making this decision. Be sure to smash the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.